and he's going to put them away. Dinah Vickers will stretch away to the wire.
Thrilling Boris wins the Waterloo Cup and bolts home.
Big time Paddy Christiane Cyborg, like they get a big time Paddy Christiane Cyborg. Ababo Peep and a dog that's heading to Australia as he swings in here now, and his name's Penny Mac. He's kicked away 2 or 3, the big boy. Penny Mac home.
Hello everybody, good evening and welcome into DogZone. Yes, it's that time of the year again. Group 1 Waterloo Cup to take place on Sunday afternoon out of the Monaco Sports Bowl, and a stellar field that has been assembled for that. Also on tonight's show we look back at the Group 2 Kingston Cup that took place last Thursday at Addington. The great man himself, he's away on a holiday. He's looking after his kids. It is the school holiday. So joining us on the show is Philippa Morris. Pip, a stellar week of greyhound racing ahead of us, and a good week to have you on the show. You'll be on course Sunday for the Group 1 Waterloo Cup.
It's a pleasure to be here, Andy. Really looking forward to being there on a Sunday to see who takes it out and possibly goes towards the Melbourne Cup, and to talk through all of the action from last week, and of course looking forward to the Waterloo Cup.
Speaking of the Waterloo Cup, let's have a look at the market for it. Dinah Dave, he's come up as your $2.20 favourite. Robson, one of the locals in the market at $4.60. Big Time Cooper will be looking to lead them all of the way at $5.50. And Thrilling Vice, another one of the locals at $8. Pip, Dinah Dave, deserved favourite, but box 8 won't make life easy for him come Sunday.
Certainly won't, with a couple of dogs with early pace down by the rail. He's going to need a bit of luck. So $2.20. A little bit short, Andy. I do like him, but I just think that's a little bit short considering Big Time Cooper's sitting there at $5.50. And don't mind Big Time Rod either at $12. He's a dog that's won his last 2. Yes, he did dead heat in the heat, but $12, possibly a bit of value there.
Yeah, certainly is. He's racing well at the moment as Rod. Let's now go runner by runner through the 8 greyhounds who will take place in the Waterloo Cup come Sunday. Runner number 1 is Thrilling Vice. Karen Walsh prepares this greyhound, the winner of the Cambridge Heat in 25 and 97. We'll take you back to have a look at that. The other greyhound you're looking for here is Big Time Levi. He's the greyhound in the green rug of box number 6, getting home when it's all over. Philippa Vice won the Cambridge Heat, but the only knock on him being 2 turns, not his favourite position to be in.
No, that's the only query for actually both of these dogs, Levi and Vice. He had this draw at his only start at Monaco over the 527 metres, and he was slow away, Andy. He kind of moved out on the first bend as well, so that's a little bit of a worry. Even though his statistics are good from box 1, he's a dog that probably does prefer to be out wide. So yeah, that's a little bit of a query. And then of course when he did go to the New Zealand Breeders at Hattrick, he was sitting second, and Rod did pass him in that as well. So yeah, just a little bit of a question mark for mine off 1.
Yeah, he does like to just push off the fence an inch off the boxes, which could make life interesting for greyhounds to his immediate outside. Luckily for the greyhound in box number 2, he is a speed merchant on 4 paws. His name, Big Time Cooper, the first of 4 charges for Team Cole going around in this final. Comes up with box number 2, Philippa. We know how fast he is, but first look at Auckland with the silent lure is never easy for any greyhound.
Certainly is not. That would be your biggest query around him if you are backing into that $5.50. But gosh, he's got an early burn. We know he's clocked a 488 in the past. When a lead up, he went 491 last week, and that 1827 overall. So Andy, he's got the speed, and when you have a look at him here, he just absolutely flies out. If he does this, he's going to take some catching.
He certainly is. We know how fast he is. This is a really good field. Big Time Levi going around as well in the green rug there of box number 6. But he's fast. The silent lure cantrip greyhounds up. Had a talk to Brendan yesterday. Hasn't had a trial there, so a slight concern from him as well around being first up at Auckland, but just hoping that he can gain that early lead. And I think, Philippa, the big thing around him, there's not a lot of exposed early speed in the field, so even if he's not the fastest immediately at box rise, he should be able to burn through and grab the lead by the turn.
Yes, exactly, and that just depends what kind of dogs are sitting behind him. Whether or not he'll get too far in front and take out the Waterloo Cup, well, we'll find out on Sunday, Andy.
The second of the Cole team comes up with box number 3. It is Big Time Seth. He was able to win a heat at Auckland. He had box number 1 on that occasion. There was a little bit of trouble on the home turn, and we will give you a look at that in a moment. Philippa, he looked a greyhound early on in his career. He still is early on in his career, but his first 7 or 8 straight, he looked like he was going on to some pretty good things. He finds himself in a Group 1 final now, but he's probably up against it against 1 or 2 of these.
I have to agree with you, Andy. He had the red rug, as you can see here, and he just kind of bided his time on the rail. It was a race where you'll have a look when they get to that home turn. Ginger Bailey and Diddley collide, and he just gets that lovely rails run. So take nothing away from him. He did everything he needed to do to make this final, but as you say, I just think he's going to have a couple of dogs a little bit faster in this.
The other 2 greyhounds here to take note, the white rug of Robson and Philippa. Unlucky for Penny Mac, he doesn't get to defend his title, but still a super run from him, and he's first reserve for this.
Certainly was. He just probably not the ideal draw for him, was it, Andy? He's a dog that wants the rail, and he's just not jumping like he used to, so he just found trouble early. But he hit the line strong, as did Robson. I mean, look at him there, but he really did pick the line through.
The third of the Cole runners will come up with box number 4. His name is Big Time Rod. He comes up with the blue rug for this final. He was a dead heat winner of the Wanganui heat along with Big Time Cooper, and we will give you a look at that now. Big Time Rod, he's in the black and white stripes of box number 2. Big Time Cooper in the gold rug of box number 5, and you just see that early burn Big Time Cooper has. Big Time Rod sits in behind him, and although he's not on the show tonight, this is one of Rozzo's best. Let's go and have a bow peep and listen to his call up the straight.
Cheese for us, Big Time Cooper, out by 4. Is it enough? Big Time Rod trying to hunt him down, followed through then by Big Time Homie running a race. Nature's Gent getting around the outside of that, further back then to Tyson's Quest and Big Time Emmy. Cooper's in front. Here comes Rod. Cooper or Rod, I don't know. Nature's Gent third, followed across then by Tyson's Quest.
Rozzo didn't know, Philippa, the judge didn't know it was a dead heat on that occasion in the heat for this, and Big Time Rod is a greyhound who certainly hit form at the right time, winning his last 2, and he's certainly going in the right direction to be competitive in this final.
He certainly is. A little bit of a concern. He's been to Manukau 4 times and he's never been in the money. But in saying that, he's just going so well. I am a fan of the dog because, as you've seen, he was a little bit behind Cooper. But lately, he's just been absolutely flying home and digging in. And as you've seen, the previous week, he actually did beat Cooper. So I think he's a dog that he is sitting up handy enough early. If he's sitting 2nd, 3rd or 4th, he's a definite winning chance over the 527. How he's going, Andy?
He certainly is. What sort of run do you see him getting into this first turn? Can he get ahead of Seth and Vice and be the greyhound who's chasing Cooper down the back straight again?
I think so. I really do actually think so. I think maybe Big Time Cooper will lead out. It just depends where Vice jumps, I suppose. If Vice kind of jumps a little bit handy Andy and then moves out, that's the only query, but I can't really see him getting too much trouble.
The Peter Ferguson runner comes up with box number 5. His name is Robson. He was 2nd in the heat and behind Big Time Seth. We just had a look at that. Philippa, what did you make of that run? I thought he was a little bit disappointing on face value. If that trouble doesn't happen as they swing the bend for home, he's probably not in this final. We know he's better than that, as we've seen 2 starts ago, but gee, he needs to lift a little bit off that heat run, I thought.
I totally agree with you. He's a dog that obviously has immense speed. He went down for the Amazing Chase. He took out the Golden Chase. Of course, those are all match racing, and he probably does mainly race on the 1-turn circuit. So, yes, a little bit disappointing because he was just so slow away. And if he does that on Sunday, there's just too many dogs in front of them. They're going to be too far gone that he won't be able to do the same unless there's trouble, Andy. So he's a dog that you have to say needs luck.
Yeah, especially off that draw. Box number 5 not going to make things easy for him. Of course, we've seen him be successful in match racing, and yeah, that box number 5 in a talented field certainly going to make Robson's life difficult come Sunday afternoon. Box number 6 comes up for no refusal. Crafty Cleve will troop him up from the South Island. He was 2nd in his heat in behind Diana Dave. Philippa, I think he's a fairly underrated type, this bloke. He does get back. He's got a big barnstorming finish on him. We've seen him be successful at Auckland in the past, winning last year's edition of the Size Produce. And he had to go around yesterday at Forbury Park, and he was certainly beat on that occasion. Don't think he can win the race, but one who you'd probably want on your trifecta and first 4 tickets.
I think so, if he can get the right run, Andy. As you said, he does get right far back. He did in the heat, when we'll show that later on with Dinah Dave. But boy, he hit the line strong. And as you said, he goes well at Monaco, 2 times there for a win and a placing. And clocking that 30.75, yes, he'll need to improve on that time. But as you say, he'll be trucking home late.
Yeah, the wide draw will certainly suit him as well. If one or two of these greyhounds does find some trouble, he'll be getting into his work late in the piece. Right, we move on to box number 7 now, and this one comes up for the 4th of the Coal Runners. It is Big Time Levi. He was second in the heat at Cambridge and behind Thrilling Vice. He too has had a run since. He was successful on Monday at the Manawa 2 when running down Big Time Shadow in a best of the day 26 and 24. Pippi's been to Auckland on one occasion. The best we've seen from him, though, probably been on a one bender, so in a similar vein to that of Thrilling Vice.
Yes, but the last time he won on the 2 bends was well back on the 8th of March. So that just shows he tends to race on that one-turn circuit at the Manawa 2. And he was huge in the heat to hit the line like he did, Andy. But I just think over the 2 turns, he's probably not the dog that I'm going to put into my first 4, even though he's ideally drawn out wide.
We'll move on to the favourite now, the pink rug for Dinah Dave. He is the sole entrant for the Craig Roberts team. Box number 8 not going to make things easy for him. He has got an okay record off box number 8 though. He's won 4 from 10 from there. We will take you back to have a look at his heat. You're looking for the dog on the white rug here of box 3. No refusal. The other qualifier was in the blue rug of box number 4. You can see him get back and get into his work late in the piece. Pip, he comes up with box number 8, which, as I said, isn't ideal, but what could help him is the 6 and the 7, as we know, not renowned for early speed, so he might just get enough room to this first turn to move, and perhaps we could see him nail that elusive Group 1 success.
I'm certainly hoping so, Andy. If you have a look when he actually won in the invitational race the same day that the Auckland Cup was on, he had box 8 on that occasion, and he just walked out a little bit slow. He found the rail, and when he was sitting about 3rd, we always knew he was going to be hard to beat from there, and I'm hoping he can do the same. It's a kind of a little bit like Dave, I suppose, is the same as Robson. He's going to need luck from out there, but he's a dog that runs so much time. 29.67 here at Addington. He went 29.83 in the heat, and he is a dog that probably needed those few runs since coming back from across the Tasman, and of course representing New Zealand in the Nationals, Andy, and I thought that was the real Dave there that we just seen.
In terms of his racing style, Philippa, we know that he likes to get back and he's got a big, strong finish on him. His hardest to beat appears to be Big Time Cooper, who's the complete opposite. How far off Cooper can Dave be, leaving the back straight and still beat him?
Well, that's a tricky question, Andy. I don't think he'd want to be. It just depends how far out Cooper gets. If Cooper's 2, 3, even 4 lengths, Dave needs to be sitting second. He needs to be sitting second on that back turn, and maybe he'll get him because his letdown is just huge. And we've seen Rod get Cooper in the last few, and I believe, in my opinion, that Dinah Dave is stronger than Rod late. But any more than that, I think it's going to be Cooper's race.
Yeah, no doubt about his strength, Dinah Dave. Some of his run-home times that you can go and have a look at on sectionals.co.nz are just simply remarkable at Addington. He's got a big turn of foot on him in that home straight, and if he can get handy, then he's certainly the one they have to beat. In terms of selections, I put him on top. As I said, I'm not a fan of him when he draws wide on the track, but I think with the 6 and the 7 being slower away than him, potentially he gets room to move into this first turn. So I've gone with him on top over the speedster and Big Time Cooper. I think he can set the pace and give them something to think about for a long, long way. He's one of my old favourites, no refusal. I don't think he can win the race, but I think he could storm home late into a piece. And I found Robson in for 4th, but gee, I think he needs to lift a little bit off that heat run. But it was just sort of a case of I thought he might have been the best of the rest, and obviously Big Time Rod a chance as well. Philippa, that's where I'm heading in terms of 4 numbers. What did you write down on a bit of paper?
Mine was a little bit of heart overhead, I suppose. I have put Dave on top. It's no surprise, he's one of my favourite greyhounds, and I'd love him to get that elusive Group 1. So he's on top for me. Had to put Cooper in for second. I really do believe he's the dog to beat. If he comes out and jumps straight to the front, he's going to be hard. I did put Rod in there for 3rd because I just think he's racing so well of late, and I can see him getting the right run. And then I had to put Robson in. Yes, he got far back, but I think if he's a dog that gets luck, he's certainly got some speed.
So that's a look runner by runner through the Group 1 Waterloo Cup. It takes place on Sunday afternoon out of the Monaco Sports Bowl. Pip will be on course for that to take you through all of the action. Quick break here now on DogZone. On the other side, we wind the clock back to 1998.
the great one when it comes to staying events here in New Zealand. Good luck to you all. The last couple going up. We're set to go. Good luck to you. Yukonuba, silver collar for 1998. Bet on Bessie favourite. And racing, and Bessie astride slow there with Kiwi Edition and Cute Edition showing up early as Colonial First from Fortune Gazer. In behind them Silk Dancer. Kiwi Edition gets a lovely passage. Break in the field, there we go too. Got a cruise out wider, that is Warburton Last, Cute Edition and Bet on Bessie's got to beat the lot of them. They come past as the first time, and Colonial First sets them up in front. Trucking in behind it there is Silk Dancer. Kiwi Edition going the race of his life. In behind them there is Got a Cruise. Here comes Bessie. Further back we go to Fortune Gazer. So that's followed back in the field there by Warburton Lass and the Cute Edition. Across the top they come, and Colonial First still doing it for Tommy Mack. Here comes Tommy McGillivray's Chargers. Got a Cruise, and round the outside comes Bet on Bessie and Warburton Lass later. Up they come, and Bet on Bessie. She's home. Bet on Bessie. Got a Cruise to Quinella. Well done. Then we go to...
So that was the running of the 1998 silver collar out of Auckland back when it was a grass track, and we do kick DogZone back off with some sad news. The passing of her trainer in Tommy McGillivray. He was probably best known for his accomplishments with not only Bessie but the second greyhound there as well, and Got a Cruise. Cruise winning the 1997 silver collar, second there in 98 to Bessie. These two greyhounds then went on to Quinella, what was then known as the New Zealand Cup, which is now the New Zealand Stayers Cup, and then old Bessie went on to run second the next year in the collar. So, Philippa, they certainly were a couple of very talented greyhounds. Unfortunately, neither of them could win back-to-back collars, but they went as close as you can without doing it.
They certainly did, and Tom just had an eye for a stayer. Actually seen her running down the far south and thought she would make a fantastic stayer, managed to get her, and then of course it looked like she went on to do. So very sad news to hear of his passing on a Sunday. I wouldn't be in greyhounds if it wasn't for Tom and Jill McGillivray. Dad used to pass them walking the dogs down the road, stopped, and that's how we actually got into greyhounds. And even now when we trained Phantom Way, Dad still rung at Tom for advice with a stayer. So very sad news, and condolences with the family, Andy. But yeah, they've really loved greyhounds, and I'm sure everyone else that's been in greyhounds for years knew Tom and Jill very well. So sad news there with Tom.
Yeah, certainly is sad. Condolences to Jill and the family from all of us here at DogZone. And yeah, it's never nice losing someone. He certainly could put a polish on a stayer, as Philip has said. And those two dour old stayers back in the colonial days, they get back and they run home late in the piece, and that was what it was all about. While we're talking about sad news, also the passing of Barcia Bale, who has been a super stud dog over a long period of time for the Wheeler team and the Westervelds as well. Here's a look at the best of his. Dinah Double One, obviously at the top of the list, 1.1 million in stakes. But Philippa, two or three greyhounds that we know fairly well here in New Zealand, Bago Bye, Dinah Vickers and Diddley, all the progeny of Barcia, and he certainly did leave his mark on racing here in New Zealand as well.
He certainly did. What a dog he was. 14 starts, 13 wins, including this Group 1 Maturity Classic. And he got the track record at Maitland Bulli and his maiden run too at Bulli, Andy. And then, of course, it was the Melbourne Cup champ and Go Wild Teddy. So fantastic dog, and look at the progeny that he's left. And Dinah Vickers, even a good sire here at the moment.
Yeah, he certainly is. And Dinah Double One kicking goals as a sire as well. So, yeah, he will be sorely missed. The sire's ranks, there's no doubt about that, but certainly has left his mark, and that is a mark that will continue to stay here, both here in New Zealand and across in Australia as well. Well, now time to move on to the Kingston Cup. This was run and won on Thursday at Addington. A lot of talk was victorious here. He drew box number 1, the Red Rug, and Philippa, he's a greyhound that isn't usually brave into the first turn, but he didn't mind putting the shoulder into Opawa Hillary there, and this race was over a long, long way from home once he was on the lure.
Certainly was. He just jumped straight to the front, Andy, didn't he? And then putting that shoulder in, he never looked like getting beat from there. Dinah Wesleyan, a little bit unlucky to start with of course getting that check at the first bend, but she never really looked like a winning chance. A little bit disappointing for mine. What about your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I thought she was slightly disappointing. It appeared to be a similar run to what we saw from her in the Nationals final here in New Zealand, which we were sort of expecting her to win, and she couldn't get the job done there. But box 8 at Addington, it's a little bit trickier to win from these days, Philippa, with that new lure that they've got on there in the Whistler. It just means those inside greyhounds just kick up the rail a little bit harder, and Yeah, dogs like a lot of talk. It probably suits him down to the ground.
Certainly does, and now he looks like he's got a future not only over the 600 metres but 700 metres plus off of that run, Andy. I know certainly the owners are very ecstatic with that, and $16, that's a good outside price for him.
Yeah, it certainly was. Love affair with box number 1 as well. That's certainly his draw. And good to see Opawa Hillary finding form as well. She's gone good her last couple of starts since coming back from Aussie, having a crack at the Nationals over there in Cannington and representing us well. So good to see her back here and racing well. Well, now time to have a look at a couple of young greyhounds. We had a look at one of these last week. His name is Bolty. He's one of a few flying machines that young Daniel Lane is bringing out. He's the dog in the pink rug here. This is on Tuesday at Addington. 16.90 he clocks here. Philippa, for a Class 1 greyhound, or for any greyhound, that's an amazing time. And gee, he's on his way to some bigger and brighter things than this.
Isn't it just? 3 starts, 3 wins, and the best thing about him, Andy, we say it all the time, box speed is gold. Yes, I know it's down in C1, and as he goes up the grades, he's going to need to do the same, but 16.90 at his age, he'd have to be so excited with what he can go on to do.
You certainly would. Pip, Rosso asked me this question last week. You two have trained a few greyhounds in your time. We're only about 4 weeks away from the first round of the Galaxy. He's only Class 1 at the moment. Would you be targeting the Galaxy with a greyhound like him?
I would be now. After 16.90, Andy, I don't care what grade the dog would be, I'd be going for that Galaxy. Why not? Give it a go if you can get him up the grades as fast as you can. If he keeps performing those times, tell me a dog at the moment that's going around in C5 running that time.
There isn't one. That's the answer to that. There isn't one. The open grade ranks are very even throughout the country, really. Of course, Buddy Boom out at the moment, so Kiwi boys getting another crack at the open grade ranks in Auckland. The CD, very even. They're all just taking their turns, and it's the same down here in Canterbury as well. They're just taking their turn week in, week out. So, yeah, he's certainly a flying machine, Bolty, and he's on his way to some pretty bright things. Talking of young greyhounds as well, Opawa Dye is a greyhound that we saw get reeled out for the first time last week. Since this, she's won again. How's that for box speed, Philippa? 5.75 early, 17.10, similar time, or same time as what Bolty ran first up. But gee, that box speed is just phenomenal.
Certainly is, and I suppose it's the same thing. Do they try and get her up for the Galaxy as well? Because gosh, she just flies out. Not only here, of course, she went and did the same thing yesterday as well. Probably didn't run the same time, but it's not saying that maybe she just preferred Addington better. And speaking of Barcia Bale, Andy, she's by it as well.
Yeah, exactly. I would imagine it was probably her first look yesterday at Forbury Park. I haven't had to talk to Dave to confirm that, but I'm guessing that was her first bo peep at that track. So the noisy allure can sometimes trip them up a little bit there. But yeah, certainly Pip on the way to the Galaxy. 2 young greyhounds could just add that little bit of spice that that Galaxy probably needs this year.
I think it'll be really good, Andy, just to have those young dogs coming up instead of having, I suppose, the C5 dogs that we see go through every week. Nothing against them, but it is nice just to have these young dogs that maybe take on the higher grades, because you'd think maybe with the time we've got, you never know, they could be right up around C4, C5, but they'll have to plan their races out quite well.
Yeah, they certainly will. Talking of good sprint races, Philippa, also on Sunday at Auckland, there's a really tidy New Zealand racing series going to the post. And Kiwi Boy, as I said, he's certainly making the most of his younger kennel mate being out of action at the moment, and Buddy Boom, and comes up with a suitable draw for him, and he looks a big chance in that.
He certainly does. Box 8, as soon as I seen him out there, I've actually put him in as one of my tips for the week. He should be hard for him out there. Of course, there's some other nice dogs going around. Suspicious Minds keeps on winning, and I thought that was a very good win on Sunday. But yeah, Kiwi Boy, looks like he could get another one there for Jared and Denise.
Yeah, and of course the 2 litter mates, 2 Buddy Boom going around as well, and Captain Kevin Ashen, and both speedy young types as well, with a bright future ahead of them. Right, bets of the week. Here's how we did last week. I went 1 from 2. Creme Brulee getting up by the barrister margins at 5.40. Rosso going 1 from 5. 3 minors to his name as well. Nash getting home on Monday at $2.20. And Pip, you went 2 from 5. Suspicious Minds winning on both days for you.
Yes, I was pretty happy with that. Suspicious Minds have gone for him again this week. It's kind of double up, and I just think we might not get a very big price for him on a Thursday, but could chuck him in multis or something. Continues on his winning way. I believe he's looking for a 4. So speaking about my bets, we'll take a look at those. I've gone for a few at Cambridge. Enjoy the perks. In race number 3, race 8 over Indulgence. Race 10, the 1, Suspicious Minds, looking to go for that again. Race number 11, the 1, Trojans Magic. And then, yes, at Monaco on Sunday, I just love Kiwi Boy from out there. I believe he could take out that feature race.
Since where Philip is looking, here's a look forward to the week ahead as well. Here's Blake Stothart. This is mine first. Andy McCook. Fleur d'Or, well boxed up on Thursday night at Addington. Thinks she'll be hard to beat. Mighty Muscle, well drawn as well. He comes up with box 2. Gold Star Sydney in the 1. I think those two can run 1-2. Famous Sleaze, an improved type, comes up with box 7. He looks hard to beat as well. And on Friday, No Sweat, downgraded and dangerous, box 2. Few wide runners to her immediate outside means that she should get enough room early to be going home a winner. Blake Stothart, this is where he's heading. He's going Thursday at Addington, Dinah Quark, well boxed up there in the 1 is Quark. He's also going to Friday at Addington with Colby Lass in the 3, and Big Time Charlotte comes up with the red rug Wanganui on Friday night. But just speaking of Blake Stothart, he's fairly new to the rinks here on DogZone. They reckon he's a bit of a shark, but gee, he's a bit embarrassing last week, wasn't he?
Oh, it's a little bit harsh. I think we've all had weeks like that, Andy. I took my one this week and was like, yes, but I had shockers for months. So we'll give Blake a pass and just say it was first day jitters, and hopefully he can get through this week. First
day jitters, yeah, we'll put it down to that. We'll give him one more week. If he doesn't improve, then he might be getting the heave-ho out the door, I think. But we'll just see how he improves. And you know what's going to happen this week. I'm going 5 for none this week.
I was just going to say, you've got a big talk now, Andy. You best provide the goods.
5 for zip this week. 5 for zip. There's no doubt about that. When you hand out a bit of lip, that's what happens. We're about out of time here on DogZone. Pip, you'll be on course on Sunday, Group 1 Waterloo Cup. Good luck to you up there, and it's going to be a stellar day's racing.
Certainly is. Can't wait, Andy, and we'll see who maybe will be going over to Melbourne to represent New Zealand, or could have a fact where, like Penny Mac, will stay and concentrate on the New Zealand Cup. Either way, I'm really looking forward to it, and it was a pleasure to be on the show.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Well, the great man is away. Hopefully things are going good for you as well, Rozzo. No doubt you'll tune in and put the kids to bed nice and early so you can watch this live tonight and see how we did. We'll be back next week. The great man will be back where he rightly belongs, in the seat on DogZone. But until then, happy punting.
All the good love when we're all alone. Keep it up, girl.